Resume. Okay, so I think we're recording. Hopefully we're recording for those people that couldn't get on live. So firstly, guys, thank you again for being here tonight. Appreciated. So the Love Your Skin workshop is actually a workshop that I have done in person. You know, do you remember that training in person? And I actually used to do it at this kind of time of year. I would sort of marry it a little bit with Valentine's Day. And I've done it pretty much every year. I didn't do it last year for two reasons. One, I had an 8-week-old. Josh was born that Christmas. So of course, by the February, he was kind of, 6-8 weeks. And secondly, if you remember, we were all starting to get a little bit panicky about this horrible virus that was coming over from China. And there was quite a lot of social distancing and things going on. And so we were doing less of the actual face-to-face stuff. So apart from last year, the Love Your Skin workshop is something I've done for several years on the trot. And it's always been a fairly popular one with both therapists and non-therapists. Certainly not going to get all technical with you, so please don't worry about that. But I am going to talk a little bit about the skin itself and how it works, how it functions, etc. Purely because I think, knowledge is power at the end of the day, and it's a bit cheesy, but I always say if you learn, you earn. The more you know, the more equipped you will be to talk confidently with your clients and your customers. And of course, at the end of the day, guys, we are in the business of selling skincare. We are selling beauty products. So it does sort of make sense to know a little bit about the skin. You don't need to have a PhD, but just to know a little bit about the skin certainly makes sense. And it will make you sound a lot more knowledgeable. People will listen to you and will trust you when they think that you kind of know what you're talking about, as it were. For those of you that don't know, I'm sure most of you do, I am a beauty therapist. I've been a beauty therapist for about 100 years, I think. And actually, when I worked in the salons and spas, facials were what I did. It's actually how I know Lisa. Lisa used to come and have facials at the salon I worked in. And one day the lady, Sophie, that she used to go and see and have her regular facial with was off sick. And so Lisa was stuck with me one day and we got chatting and we kind of hit it off. And that's how we became friends, because I did Lisa's facials. So my background is very, very much skincare. So although obviously I do a whole, plethora of beauty treatments, manis, pedis, waxing, etc., skincare and facials in particular was very much my baby. So what I thought I would do first of all is just talk about some very basic skin facts. Now, the therapists that are on here, please don't fall asleep. I know a lot of this you're going to know, of course, but at the same time, I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with a bit of a revision. And for other people, this might be a bit interesting. So the first thing to say might be a bit obvious, but the first thing to say is obviously the skin is an organ. And actually, sometimes when I talk to customers, I do think people forget that. When we think of organs, generally speaking, we think of internal organs, don't we? We think of the heart, the lungs, kidneys, etc. We very rarely think of the skin being an organ, but actually it is an organ. It's one of the it is the biggest organ, I should say. It's the biggest organ in the body. It's one of the most important organs in the body. And of course, it's the only external organ. All the others are internal. It has a huge amount of different roles to play, lots and lots of jobs. The main one, of course, is keeping us all together. If we didn't have skin, frankly, we would be a bit of a messy blob on the floor, wouldn't we? With other organs and blood and tissue and God knows what else falling out all over the place. It wouldn't be particularly pretty. So our skin keeps us all together. Of course, it has a massive protection role. It protects us from disease, from becoming massively dehydrated, of course, because it keeps, the water in and the important things in, and it keeps nasties out. But other functions, I won't go into it too much, but other functions include insulation, of course, it keeps us warm. Body temperature regulation, sensation and synthesis of vitamin D. That is so important, and actually how we get most of our vitamin D is through the skin from sunshine. We can get vitamin D, of course, in supplements and in certain foods, but actually our main source of vitamin C is sunshine, which is why you have probably heard me talk about my general dislike of sun protection factor, which is a bit controversial, admittedly, and we won't go down that route tonight, but you may have heard heard or will hear me no doubt in the summer talk about, you know, why I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Sun Factor, because yes, it can protect you against burning and UVA, UVB, but it will prevent vitamin D from being absorbed as well. And vitamin D is crucial for our overall health. The other amazing thing, of course, about the skin is it has the ability to heal itself. And that is something that a lot of the other organs in our body cannot do to the same capacity. So the body as a whole will heal itself, of course. And, you know, there's been many, many cases of internal organs doing that. But generally speaking, it takes a lot longer and it's a lot harder. Whereas you know what it's like, you scratch your skin, you cut yourself, you burn yourself, whatever it might be. And actually within hours, days, certainly weeks, your skin has completely healed. And actually, you know, if you look at your hands over the years, no doubt they've had loads of knocks and cuts and bruises and good knows what, but today you haven't got those, and that is because it will heal itself, and it will heal itself incredibly quickly. So it's quite an incredible organ, really. The skin has 3 main layers. Okay, now what I'm going to do, and I hope you can see this, guys, because obviously, as I said, I am on my iPad and it's not brilliant. It has the 3 main layers, and I'm just going to hold up this little diagram. I don't know if you can see that. What I thought I might do, though, is I might just take a little snap of this, and then anybody that wants me to send it over to them, either in an email or just, you know, on Messenger or something, I can actually send that over just so you've got a visual. Some people might find it useful to have a visual, probably not you therapists who have, you know, we studied all this, didn't we? But some people might find that useful. Okay, so, oh, sorry, just admitting somebody else from the waiting room. Bear with me, sorry. I'm so rubbish, aren't I? Right, there we go. Okay, so as you can see, the 3 main layers, we've got the epidermis at the top. Now, the epidermis is the part of the skin that we can see, okay? It's what people see. Then you've got the main part, the dermis, and then underneath that, you've got the, and I can never say this word properly, one of the other girls, I'm sure, one of the other therapists will help me out, but the subcutaneous tissue, basically, which is the bit at the bottom. Okay, now within those 3 main layers, there are lots and lots and lots of other layers. Okay, there are quite a few layers actually that make up the skin. And of course, you know, although that diagram is huge, we're talking millimeters here, guys. We're talking, in fact, about 1 millimeter deep on the average, and the average part of the body is about 1 millimeter. But within that, there are lots and lots of little layers. And I always describe it a bit like building blocks, you know, like lots and lots of little building blocks or little cells, a bit like a brick wall or something like that. But we're going to talk tonight about the 3 main layers, okay? So the epidermis is the bit at the top, as I said, that everybody sees. And that's the outermost layer, which is the waterproof layer, okay? And I've got to be honest, it mainly consists of mostly dead skin cells. By the time a little fresh skin cell has got all the way to the top of the skin, it's made its way all the way up to the epidermis, which very approximately, and I'm massively generalizing here because, of course, it depends on your age and all sorts of factors, but very approximately will take about 28 days. When by the time that skin cell has got to the surface and we actually see it, it's generally dead or dying. Okay, so a bit grim, but the skin that we actually see is generally dead. And of course, as we know, we shed skin cells daily just by touching, living, breathing, moving around. And of course, that's what dust is. 90% of household dust is dead skin, which isn't very pleasant, but it's the truth. Because we're constantly shedding dead skin. So when you're hoovering up and doing your dusting, you're basically removing the dead skin of yourself and anybody else you live with. Not pleasant. Okay, now the dermis, which is the slightly larger part, larger layer of the skin, which lies underneath the epidermis, that's kind of what I would call like the main factory of the skin. You know, it's the kind of the largest part of the skin. And within the dermis, it kind of contains, well, everything you can see there, really. You've got your hair follicles, you can see your sensory glands, you can see your sweat glands, tissue, you've got your blood going through there, nerves, etc., etc. Okay, so you can see all that there. And then the deepest level, again, my pronunciation is shocking, but the subcutaneous layer is basically made up largely of fat and sort of connective tissue and things like that. But it is largely sort of the fatty part of the skin. Okay. And as I've said before, within the 3 layers, you've got lots and lots of other layers making up sort of, you know, little building blocks. Okay, so there we go. I'll show the picture one more time, just for those of you that are maybe not as familiar with it as others. Now, interestingly, the thinnest skin on your whole body is on your eyelids. And on your eyelids, it's only 0.5 millimeter thick, which is interesting, isn't it? And actually, this goes back to what I always say to my clients and customers about not overloading the eye area with too much product, because actually the skin generally in the whole eye area is much thinner. It's the thinnest on the eyelids themselves, which is why you can often see little veins and things on people's eyelids. But the whole eye area, the skin is much thicker than actually the rest of the body, which is why you often see the first signs of aging around the eyes, because the skin is just much, much thinner. But actually also, as I say, why I say to people, really go easy when it comes to the products, you know, the eye gels, the eye creams, the makeup, because the skin just cannot handle too much. And what will happen over a period of time is you're just going to get a build up underneath the skin, and that's what causes the bags. So I always say to my customers and my clients, and I would highly recommend that you say this as well to people if you're not already, when you're applying eye product, think about a grain of rice. You need roughly the size of a grain of rice between each eye. And you should also always be applying eye cream with your ring finger, because the ring finger is the weakest finger, and you don't want to be pressing too hard when it comes to touching the eye area. You don't want to be making those wrinkles any worse. So a grain of rice size of product split between your fingers and applied to the eye area. The other thing is, you should only ever apply eye product where you can feel bone. Never take it up where you can't feel bone. The skin just cannot handle it, and you're going to cause suitcases. Literally, you're going to have suitcases under your eyes. I remember talking to a plastic surgeon a while ago. I was at a conference that he was talking at, and we were chatting afterwards, and he said it was actually not uncommon for him to remove up to a teaspoonful of product from under a woman's eye during facelifts and surgery, because literally she was just, you know, these women, they just whack on the eye creams, the under eye makeup, whatever it might be, and the product soaks into the skin and it's got nowhere to go. So that's what causes those big bags. Okay, guys, so make sure you're not overdoing the eye products. Less is more when it comes to eye products. That was my little tangent, sorry about that. Okay, so like I say, 0.5 millimeter on the eyelids. That is the thinnest skin on your whole body. Can anyone guess where the thickest skin is? Anyone? Feel free to unmute. Yay! Feet. That's right. So soles of the feet and palms of the hand. Yeah, both of them. Soles of the feet, palms of the hand. And the skin on those areas is 1.5 millimeters. So we're not talking a huge amount, guys. We're really not. 1.5 millimeters, but considerably thicker actually than the rest of the body. Now, men's skin is considerably thicker than a woman's skin, just naturally is thicker, and it tends to have a slightly more coarse texture as well, particularly on the face. And that, of course, you know, men's skin is quite different, as we talk about sometimes, excuse me, when we do sort of men's training. Of course, you know, men have much thicker facial hair coming through, and various other factors. But actually, unfairly, that is why men are often perceived to age better than women, because their skin is thicker. Also, people with darker skin have slightly thicker skin as well. So again, the darker the skin, the better. And I'm using inverted commas because I hate all this. You know, aging is a natural process at the end of the day. And with Neal's Yard Remedies, we very much talk about aging well rather than anti-aging, because, you know, aging is a natural process. There's nothing wrong with aging. So it's all about, you know, looking the best you can for the age that you're at. That said, most of us are human. We want to look as nice as we possibly can, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to hold back the years, or at least visibly hold back the years a little bit. But people with darker skin, their skin tends to be a bit thicker. Just as I've said, men's skin tends to be a bit thicker. So you will find, for example, an African man will have a much thicker skin than, say, someone like me, female, with that kind of reddy hair and freckles, because my skin is naturally very, very pale. So I am going to age much quicker, or visually age much quicker, than an African man. So he's the lucky one. So people of color don't tend to show age as quickly as white people, and men don't tend to as quickly as women. It's just a sad fact of life when you are a white woman like me. Okay, so moving on a little bit, skin contains two important proteins. And again, I'm sure many of you know this, but these are the ones that the scientist tends to work with to get the products to do what they're supposed to be doing. And of course, those proteins are collagen and elastin, okay? And they are the real sort of, the real daddies of the beauty world. Now, humans produce both collagen and elastin naturally throughout their life. It's something that we all completely produce throughout their life. But obviously, we have a lot more collagen and a lot more elastin when we're little, which is why babies have that gorgeous rounded sort of cheeks and that lovely chubby. If you put your finger on their bottom, it pings up straight away, and they're all lovely and round and rosy. As we age throughout our life, the production of collagen and elastin goes down, and it dramatically drops as we age. So that is why much older people, when you've got, a lady or a gent in their 70s, 80s, their skin is wrinkly, it doesn't snap back hardly at all. Well, it will a little bit, but you know what I mean? You have that sagging and the deep lines. That is because the body is no longer producing elastin or collagen. And well, if it is, it's very, very minimal. Now, the word collagen actually comes from the Greek word meaning glue. So that kind of gives you an idea about what collagen actually does. And it's the most abundant protein actually in the human body, which is interesting, isn't it? So we've got, thousands of proteins, but actually collagen is the most abundant, particularly when we're young. And what it does is it provides strength and support to our organs and our tissues, etc. And of course, as I've said, the skin is an organ, which people forget. So when we've got lots and lots of collagen, the collagen is providing strength and support and making our skin look and feel better. Elastin, as the name would suggest, almost is like a stretchy, as the name would suggest, sort of elastic band, elastin. It has like a stretchy, resilient, it's a resilient protein that's very, very stretchy. And basically what it does is it helps our skin snap back. So if I pull my skin now slightly, I don't know if you can see me doing that on your screen, just sort of pulling my cheek like that and then let go. It doesn't stay where I've pulled it. It will snap back. That is the elastin effectively doing its job. Okay, and it helps kind of tissues return to their previous shape, because otherwise we'd all look quite odd, wouldn't we? But as I said, both collagen and elastin diminish quite dramatically as we age. Okay. So that's just a little bit really about the skin. I just thought I'd show you this now while I'm talking about kind of the skin as we age. So as you can see on this one, and I'm sorry these pictures aren't very good, guys. As you can see on this one, you've got the epidermis up here, which is represented by the pale pink. The epidermis is smooth, really, really smooth here. That would be, like really how a child or a very young person's skin would appear under a microscope. And then here you can see the deep pits here. Can you see that? Yeah. That is how an older person's epidermis will start to look. And also you can see here in the dermis, you've got the reduced disorganization there. You can see that there of the cells, you can see there the sort of the strength that there is there in the dermis, compared to more disorganization there. Can you see that? And gradually over time, we go from having skin like this to skin like this. Very, very sad. But that sadly is what happens. So I thought tonight, now we've kind of just done a little bit of basic background on the skin itself. I mean, of course, I could be here for 100 years talking about all the nitty gritty of the skin and everything, but that would just bore everyone to tears, including the therapist. So we won't go into too much detail. I certainly didn't want to get all scientific on you guys, but just to give you a little bit of detail of the skin. So tonight we're going to talk about sort of good skincare, which many of us know already, but there's certainly nothing wrong with having a bit of a refresher, and talking about looking after our skin, both from the outside in, but also the inside out as well. And actually, I am going to start with inner health, because actually, as I keep saying, the skin being an organ, it needs to be fed, it needs to be looked after, just like all our other organs, okay? So it's really, really important to feed it well and to look after it from the inside. And something I say to my customers a lot is, you know, you could spend hundreds, and I mean hundreds, thousands actually, on skincare. Excuse me, I'm just going to readjust on my chair. There we go. You could spend thousands on expensive lotions, potions, creams, etc. But frankly, if you don't have a healthy lifestyle, if you are not drinking enough water, if you're not getting good nutrition from your food, if you're a sun worshipper, and frankly, if you smoke cigarettes, no amount of lotions and potions are actually going to do any good. So I want to start by talking about that a little bit, because I do think sometimes when a customer comes to us with a skin problem or a skin condition, it is very, very easy to start talking straight away about a product, you know, a skincare product that we would recommend for her or him, of course. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, but actually at Neal's Yard Remedies, we take a very holistic approach to everything, which is reflected in our Tree of Life logo. You've got the healthy, strong roots, which help support the strong, beautiful branches of the tree. Without those strong, hydrated roots, you're not going to get the beautiful leaves and the beautiful branches. So that is why it's so important to look after the inside so it's reflected on the outside. So when I have a client or a customer that comes to me and starts, you know, telling me about a skincare problem, one of the first things I ask, and I do a lot of skincare consultations and stuff, obviously at the moment they're just via Zoom, but I do a lot of them. And one of the first things I ask is, are you on any medication? If you are, has that medication changed recently? Have you upped your dose, or have you recently gone on it? Or have you recently come off medication? Are you taking birth control pill or a hormone replacement therapy? You know, roughly how old are your children? Because if the woman's just given birth, that's a good indicator. Do you see what I mean? I will talk about her diet. I will talk about how much water she drinks in a day. I mean, I talk about lots and lots of different lifestyle factors, and that's before I even ask what her skincare routine is. The skincare routine actually comes last, because yes, I mean, I am interested in what she's putting on her skin, of course, but actually, you know, if she tells me that, you know, she's got this fantastic diet and she's drinking loads and she's not on any medication and there's no other lifestyle factors, but she's using some cheap muck from Boots, then I know it's the cheap muck from Boots that's causing the problem. If, however, she's, you know, all over the place, she's incredibly stressed, she's going through a divorce, she's on antidepressants, whatever it might be, chances are there's something else deeper going on there, and no amount of lotions or potions or anything that I'm going to sell her is going to necessarily fix that. So we do really have a duty of care to our customers and our clients, to really get to the root of the problem as much as we can. A couple of other little factors that have come into play in the last 12 months or so is maskne, or acne as some people call it, which is the spots that are being caused by us wearing masks a lot. That is a problem now, where of course a couple of years ago no one had even heard of acne. There's, you know, other issues, you know, people are at home a lot more than they were, so they're becoming more and more dehydrated. The weather's very cold at the moment, the central heating's on all the time. Various other sort of pandemic issues, people are getting more and more stressed, etc., etc., and that can be reflected in the skin. So there's just a few other sort of, you know, points. The other one I often ask about is, how do you apply your makeup? You know, if she's applying thick foundation every morning and she's picking up the same dirty little sponge out of her makeup bag or her makeup box every day, applying her foundation and then putting that same sponge back in her makeup bag and using it day in, day out, chances are that sponge is teeming with bacteria. It's the same thing with using a flannel every single day. So one thing I say to my customers and clients all the time is, make sure you're using a fresh makeup sponge and a fresh flannel every single day. You should only be using those items one time, as a one-time application. You also need to be making sure that you're washing your pillowcase at least weekly, once a week, in a hot wash, things like that, you know. So really do think outside the box, because when it comes to skincare, it is so important, and it really isn't just about what products people are using. So we're going to start a little bit with talking about inner health and what we can do to sort of improve and support inner health, which will be reflected on the skin. So as I've said, if you eat a bad diet, smoke, sun worship, etc., no amount of lotions and potions are going to make your skin look great. They're just not. Sun damage in particular, I've got to be honest, will damage elastin and collagen production. And in fact, it can damage elastin and collagen production permanently. So when people talk about sun damage and you know, having quite severe sun damage on their skin. Unfortunately, just like with other injuries and things, it can be permanent. It's not always, but severe cases are permanent. And that is because they've damaged their skin cells so badly that the skin cells have basically died to the point where they're now not functioning properly and they're not producing the proteins, collagen and elastin. Sadly, I know I started the conversation by saying I'm not a big fan of SPF, and I'm not, for other reasons, but there, you know, the sun is something to be respected. You know, it's okay to have a bit of sun, but too much is a bad thing. But sun damage can do an awful lot of damage. And actually, there was a very, very famous study with identical twins, which you're very welcome to look up and Google. I studied it when I was at college, but it is out there for, you know, you guys to find. And I believe they were British. I'm fairly certain they were British. They were certainly European, sort of Northern European, I should say, fairly, you know, pale kind of skin, similar to me, really. And two young ladies. They were both brought up, obviously, in the same house, very similar diet, went to the same school, you know, all that kind of thing, same parents, blah, blah, blah. In their early 20s, one of them met a guy and she moved to southern Spain, I think it was, with him. I'm fairly certain it was Spain. Yeah, I think it was the Costa del Sol. She moved to the Costa del Sol with him and ended up marrying him, and they settled in the Costa del Sol. Her twin, her identical twin, so their DNA was effectively the same, stayed in the UK where she was brought up and, you know, made a life in the UK. Several years later, I think they were in their mid-40s, early 50s, something like that, some studies were done on the pair of them. And the girl that had spent the last sort of 30 years in Spain, her skin was considerably older than her sister and considerably more damaged. Now, considering they had exactly the same DNA, they were born of the same parents at the same time, they are identical twins. So, you know, they literally came from the same sperm and the same egg. Looking at the pictures of these ladies, you would think one was the other one's mother. It really was quite frightening. Now, neither of them smoked, I believe. So the only kind of variable, if you like, or the main variable was the fact that one lived in the sun and one lived here. So that goes to show you, and feel free to look that study up, you know, don't take my word for it. There are various twin studies like that. But my point is, the sun does need to be respected, and actually it can do an awful lot of damage. So the first thing to say is, you know, do respect the sun. I'm not a fan of SPF, but I wear a hat, for example. So I would wear a physical sun blocker rather than put a load of kind of chemicals on my skin, for example. I don't tend to go in the sun in the main part of the day, but I will happily maybe sit out for half an hour come 3-4 o'clock when the sun starts to go down, you know, not be so hot, you know what I mean? So it's just a case of respecting it. But with regards to sort of inner health, the first thing to say, apart from not sun worshipping, is not smoking. What smoking actually does to the skin, I mean, I won't, you know, we all know what it does to the lungs and the heart and everything, but what it actually does is it prevents the absorption of vitamins and minerals. Now, every organ in the body needs vitamins and minerals, of course. So even if you had a really, really good diet, but you were a smoker, the cigarette smoke is preventing your body from absorbing all the lovely nutrients and vitamins from your diet. Obviously, you'll get a certain amount, but you will not be getting as much as you need. Now, every organ in the body, including the skin, needs a certain amount of vitamins and minerals. And if you are blocking that with something that you are doing, obviously that's going to have massive kind of consequences. From the external point of view, of course, if you are smoking, the smoke in the atmosphere around you, in the direct air around you, is going to dull your skin and sort of leave a discoloration on the skin. As a therapist, as a beauty therapist, I can spot a smoker straight away. I have to say, straight away. When people lie on my bed, I can just tell. Even if I can't smell it or anything like that, I can just tell a smoker, because a smoker's skin just lacks a certain radiance. Please don't think this is me having a go, or, you know, or anything like that. Hey, we've all got bad habits, you know, but speaking as a therapist and as someone that knows a little bit about this, smoking is one of the worst things you can do. So if you do have a client or a customer that's smoking, she's not going to want to be nagged at. She knows the score, but you might just want to kind of encourage her and explain to her that, yes, you can sell her X, Y, and Z, and you'll gladly take her money. But basically, unless she starts thinking about quitting smoking, she's not going to get the results that she really wants. And she's not going to get that luminous, radiant skin. Okay, so a diet, of course, as I've said, rich in fresh fruit and vegetables, that goes without saying. Oily fish, if you're not vegetarian, proteins like chicken, eggs, nuts, etc. They all promote wellness from within. And also taking a good quality vitamin will very much help as well, as I'm sure we're all aware. Now, the World Health Organization and the NHS does recommend that we drink a minimum of 8 glasses of water a day. Now, I'm going to put my hand up at this point and say that I don't. I try, but there's no way I drink 8. No way I drink 8 glasses of water a day. I'm sure there are many, many of you here that, you know, would say the same. It's approximately 2 litres, and actually 2 litres is a lot of water. It really is. However, the good news is that actually flavoured water, so if you were to add a little bit of squash or something to it, flavoured water does count towards that daily total, as does herbal tea. And actually, funnily enough, herbal tea is something that I talk a fair amount about when I do my skincare consultations, because it really is, even just making one small, you know, people talk about one small swap, one small step. And I talk a lot about, you know, swapping maybe 1 cup of coffee a day for a herbal tea, or one, you know, PG Tips kind of tea, caffeinated tea for a herbal tea once a day. That can make a big difference, actually. You know, if you have a nice big cup of herbal tea, you've still got the warming sort of comfort factor of having that lovely warm drink, but it's hydrating rather than dehydrating, because of course caffeine is dehydrating. Do also remember that only 1% of the water that we actually drink reaches our skin. So if you are not drinking very much water at all, 1% of not very much is virtually nothing. Okay, and dehydrated skin, many of us have got dehydrated skin. And it's so easy to get dehydrated skin as well. You know, air conditioning, central heating, even taking a hot bath or a hot shower, all these things will dehydrate our skin. But if your skin has started out being dehydrated because you're not drinking enough water, it really is in quite a bad place. And of course, dehydrated skin looks much older than it actually is, because you get the deep lines and things, which I'll come to a little bit later. But what I'm saying is, if only 1% of the water that we drink reaches our skin, you might want to think about upping your water intake, okay? Because if your skin's dehydrated, chances are your internal organs are as well. Now, the best vitamins for your skin are vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, which we've already talked about, and zinc. Vitamin K and certain B vitamins can play a part as well, but they're probably not as sort of key as E, A, C, D, and zinc. As I've said, when a customer comes to me, I do try and identify the cause as well, but I do very much try and work from the inside out. One of the things I often recommend to customers is that they start taking a supplement if they're not already, or certainly think about taking a better quality supplement, because it's frightening how many people just buy some cheap vitamin C in Sainsbury's, not realizing that it's virtually doing nothing for them. So start talking about, you know, the benefits of taking a good quality vitamin so that they can start seeing the benefits as well. But of course, it's often what we put on the inside of our bodies, or sometimes what we stop putting on the inside of our bodies, smoking, etc., that will benefit our skin. And actually, you know, sometimes people are sensitive to things. So my daughter, for example, Lexi, she's 9, she is very sensitive to E numbers. So if she was to eat a packet of sorry, what am I thinking of? Smarties or Skittles, you know, the brightly coloured things, that's what I'm thinking of, sorry. She will come out in a rash on her skin. Now, obviously nowadays, she hardly ever has anything like that, because she knows she's a bit older. She just doesn't eat anything like that. If she's going to have chocolate, she'll just have a bar of chocolate. But anything that's got a lot of high E numbers in it will react on her skin. So it's kind of worth finding out, again, about yourself or about your customers if they are reacting to anything, because, you know, so many people have allergies and they're not even really aware of the allergies. But of course, the skin is the first place often to show it. So that's something else to consider as well. Okay, so it is worth knowing that 60% of what we apply to our skin is absorbed into the bloodstream. And that normally happens quite quickly, generally in less than a minute. But I'm going to be really honest, guys. Feel free to make a note of that if you want to. But, when I first joined Neal's Yard Remedies, which was 8 years ago now, that was something that was said a lot at training. People said that a lot. Lisa's nodding, yeah. We've had to stop saying that officially. So I'm saying that on this Zoom. Obviously, it's being recorded. It's something for you guys to be aware of, but I'm going to ask you not to repeat that fact to customers. The reason being is, even though I'm not trying to mislead you in any way, and actually we do know that roughly 60% of the products that we put on our skin is absorbed, and we do know that it's absorbed very, very quickly. Obviously, there has been no actual scientific experiment to work out exactly how much product is absorbed and how quickly it is absorbed. So we have to be very, very careful as an ethical company to not make claims that we can't sort of back up. Okay, so even though it's true, I haven't got the actual data. I don't know if it's 62% or 59% or 75%. I don't know if it's absorbed within 28 seconds, which is what we used to be told. And then it went to 30 seconds, and now people say in less than a minute. I can't give you that actual scientific data. So I'm just going to put it out there as a very rough kind of fact for you guys to have as general knowledge. But please be careful how you say that to customers, okay? But have it in the back of your mind that roughly 60% of the products that we use on our skin are absorbed into our bloodstream in less than a minute or thereabouts. Now, that is quite shocking if you think of what you're putting on your skin on a daily basis. And that is why, this is a whole other training, but that is why it's so important to use organic skincare rather than skincare that's loaded with synthetic chemicals, etc. Because if you are loading synthetic chemicals onto your skin day in, day out, morning, noon, evening, and then again the next day, week in, week out, you're going to get a chemical cocktail building up under the surface of your skin. Okay, it's often actually why we have a lot of pregnant mums come to us for the first time, because they start thinking about the products that they're using when they're pregnant, because they start finding out about this kind of thing and they realize they don't want a load of muck and chemicals in their body while they're carrying their baby. And we get a lot of new customers come to us when they're pregnant, and then the idea, of course, is that we keep them and they stay. But it is worth thinking very carefully about what you and your family are using on your skin, and your customers, of course, on a daily basis. And of course, do remember, guys, that we do take in substances, not just orally, but also through inhalation and absorption as well. And of course, so I remember someone said to me once, oh, do you really believe that, products are absorbed through the skin? And I looked at her and I was like, well, how do you think HRT works then? HRT patches, you put them on your skin, or nicotine patches, anything like that. You put them on your skin and it's absorbed into the skin, and it's now a proven fact that deodorant, mainstream deodorant that contains aluminium and alcohol that gets absorbed into the body causes breast cancer, which is why I always say to everybody, bin the deodorant. Make sure you're using a aluminium-free deodorant. Even it doesn't have to be Neal's Yard, but make sure you're using an aluminium-free deodorant. No human being needs aluminium in their body. It's a heavy metal that our bodies don't know how to cope with. And again, talking to a surgeon once, a different surgeon, of course, I was talking to a surgeon once, and he told me that he has yet to remove a cancerous tumor from a woman's breast that didn't contain aluminium. Now, he didn't go so far as to say it was the aluminium that caused the cancer in her breast, but there shouldn't have been aluminium in her breast. But if you think about where you apply deodorant under your arm, what's right next to your armpit? It's your breast. So do be very, very careful about what you're sort of willy-nilly applying to your skin, and be very careful about what you're saying to your clients and customers as well, because as I say, the skin is it is an absorbing organ. It's designed to absorb, and it does absorb up to 60% within a minute. So just be a little bit careful about what you're actually putting on it. Okay. Now, I just wanted to touch on some of our supplements before we go any further, because we're talking about sort of inner health, outer beauty at the moment, aren't we? Before I get on to the main skincare ranges. Now, I am well aware that some of our supplements are not in stock currently. I know all that, but some are now back in stock, which is great news, and more will follow. Okay, so this is more for your sort of general knowledge, really. Now, our beauty sleep supplement, I have to say, that's a fantastic one, and it's amazing really for skin. It's also good for hair and nails as well, actually. And what it does is it helps to aid your skin's natural regeneration overnight. When we sleep, the cells in our body rejuvenate and regenerate themselves. That's what happens. So when we sleep, the function of the skin goes from being in protective mode, which it's in generally during the day, to regeneration mode. And the beauty sleep the beauty sleep supplement will aid that process. It contains hyaluronic acid, which of course is a completely natural substance which is produced by the body naturally, but again, over time we tend to make less of it, just like we make less of elastin and collagen. And it will help support that process. It's an incredible rehydrator, hyaluronic acid. It's got a very scary scientific sounding name, but it's a completely natural substance, and it's incredible for kind of keeping the skin nice and hydrated. Yeah, and actually it's the #1 ingredient in our brand new product, hyaluronic acid, but I'll come to that later. The supplement, the beauty sleep supplement, also contains passion flower and B vitamins, and you take 1 capsule before bed. So if you do have somebody that really wants to kind of kickstart their skincare routine and really go for it, I'd highly recommend that one. The Frankincense Intense Beauty Boost, as the name suggests, obviously it gives you a beauty boost. That really does help support the natural production of collagen. So it really helps in that dermis layer of the skin, helping to support the body while it produces collagen and keep collagen production up. So it's very, very good for maybe ladies of a certain age, so shall we say, 40 plus, whose natural collagen is declining naturally. So the Frankincense Intense Beauty Boost is excellent for that. And again, you're supporting your skin from the inside out by doing that. The other nice thing about the Frankincense Intense Beauty Boost, by the way, is it's really high in vitamin C. Now, vitamin C will support the skin, as I've said. It is very good for the skin, actually. But also, you know, let's just say, you know, I don't know, that you're in a worldwide pandemic, then actually vitamin C is very, very good at keeping the bugs and viruses at bay and supporting your overall immunity and your immune system. So if you have got somebody that is, you know, wanting to kind of get on top of their skincare a little bit, I would highly recommend that particular supplement, because not only are they going to be supporting their skin and the collagen production, but it's incredibly high in vitamin C as well. So it's a bit of a double whammy, really. You're going to be supporting your immune system as well as supporting the skin. Super antioxidant boost as well. That also contains vitamin C. It also contains vitamin E. And as I've said before, vitamin C and vitamin E are excellent for the skin. So that's a really, really good vitamin for the skin as well. And it really helps the skin cells recover from oxidative stress. So there are free radicals all around us all the time. Pollution, smoke, stress is a free radical. And over time, all those external factors will start to have a negative effect on the skin. And the super antioxidant boost, as the name suggests, will really give your skin cells a boost and help to support them. The beauty oil, I'm a big fan of our beauty oil. I really am. And actually, that is fabulous. It's full of omegas. And it literally, quite literally, conditions the skin, hair and nails from within. It's a really lovely product. It contains loads of fatty acids. Avocado is one of them. Pumpkin seeds is another one off the top of my head. Linseed, primrose oil. It's got lots and lots of different fatty acids and omegas in it. It's got omegas 3, 6 and 9 in it. I'm not a personal fan of taking it neat, taking it off the spoon. I just don't like just taking a spoonful of oil personally. Some people can handle it. So, excuse me, I tend to drizzle it on salads. I'll mix a spoonful into a soup, smoothies, even a little drop of orange juice. You know, if I haven't had a spoonful that day, then I'll just mix a little bit into a shot of orange juice and knock it back that way. It's really good to hide in things as well. So if you're making a soup for the family or a smoothie for the family, by the time it's all blended up, they wouldn't even know it was in there. But it's just a really good way of getting some extra nutrients in to yourself and your loved ones. So I'm a big, big fan of that. And of course, as all our products are, it is completely organic. So it's a good quality, nice one. Lastly, just talking about some of our, because I could talk about all our supplements, and I will kind of rein it in a bit, but again, just touching on our herbal teas again. And of course, you know, in the last couple of years, we've had our new herbal teas to promote. Won't spend too long talking about them because obviously they're only £4 a box, but actually, as I've said, trying to get your customers to kind of make one swap a day from their caffeinated tea or coffee or hot chocolate, whatever it might be, to a refreshing and hydrating, that's the key, of course, herbal tea would be a really good thing for them. You know, the more hydrated we are, not only is it better for our skin, but also you've got to think about your mental clarity, your internal organs as well. It's just a nice and healthier alternative to a tea or a coffee. I do try and have at least one herbal tea a day, I have to say. So really thinking about inside out is really going to set you apart from your competitors, you know, other consultants, other people selling skincare. You want people to really trust you. And when you start asking the right questions about their lifestyle, about what they're doing, about medication, as I've said, their diet, all that kind of thing, it's really going to set you apart as knowing your stuff. And it's going to show that you care, but also, and crucially, you're going to get better results. You know, if you can talk quite confidently about a couple of supplements that would support them, talk about keeping themselves better hydrated, etc., you are going to get better results with your client than if you just try and sell them a face cream. That said, we're now going to talk about face creams, and we'll start going through the catalogue in a moment. I'm just going to have a quick swig of water. At this point, if there's anything I've said so far about the structure of the skin and about looking after the skin from within, please shout. If there's anything that I've said that is confusing people or you'd like me to touch on, please either pop it into chat. I know Lisa's kindly looking after the chat for me, or just holler at me. If not, I will sort of move into the next stage, because now we're going to be talking about looking after the skin externally. Okay, so obviously a good daily skincare routine is the sort of the basics, the fundamental basics of having, you know, nice looking skin, quite apart, of course, from looking after it on the inside out. If you are wiping off your makeup, you know, late at night, every night with a baby wipe, and maybe, you know, slathering on some cheap moisturizer full of mineral oil, funnily enough, your skin's not going to look as good as if you cleanse and tone twice a day, if you exfoliate twice a week, and if you use a mask, you know, at least a couple of times a month, as well as using a serum and a moisturizer. Okay, that kind of goes without saying, but even nowadays, I still do come across clients that are either sleeping in their makeup, going to bed without washing their face, not removing, you know, yesterday's kind of grime and makeup before putting more on in the morning. They're not washing facial sponges and facial brushes, and then they're wondering why they've kind of not got good skin. So just briefly, many of you therapists on this call will know this, of course, and I'm sure many of you will, but let's just refresh our memories as the kind of skincare routine we want our clients to be doing. So really, people need to be cleansing twice a day, okay? And that is, of course, to remove any sebum and dirt, oil, grime, and makeup. Now, sebum, just to go off tangent a little bit, sebum is a natural sort of like an oil, a natural substance that is produced by the skin. Okay, now people with oily skin have a slightly overactive sebaceous gland, and they're producing more sebum than they should. People with dry skin, like me, I've got naturally very dry skin, their sebaceous glands are kind of lazy and they're not producing enough sebum. And then you've got these very lucky people whose sebaceous glands are very well behaved and they're just producing the right amount of sebum to keep the skin nice and healthy on a daily basis without producing too much or too little. However, of course, as with everything, if it's just going to hang around on the surface of the skin, it's going to start getting a bit manky, a bit, you know, unhygienic, and it does, of course, need to be washed off, along with any dirt, dust, oil, grime, and makeup that has accumulated on the skin. Now, I always say to my customers, it is important, very important, that you cleanse thoroughly at night in particular, because, of course, if you've been wearing makeup in the day, you've been out and about in the traffic, the pollution, dust, etc., it's very important that you wash the day off thoroughly. So you want to make sure that you've got a good quality cleanser that's appropriate to your skin type, and make sure that you are cleansing properly. Are facial wipes going to hit the mark? No. Facial wipes, in my opinion, should be for festivals, weekends away, if you're camping overnight, something like that. If you're on a flight and you want to freshen up, fine. There should be no other reason why you are using a facial wipe. If you're in your own home, you should not have any facial wipes as far as I'm concerned. If you're away, as I said, for a night or two, okay, I'll let you off. In your own home, you need a proper cleanser. And we'll start talking about the different products shortly. Okay, I would always use a special eye makeup remover. I'm a big fan of the Neil's Yard Remedies eye makeup remover, I have to say. It's not too oily. It's not going to leave horrible residue around the eye like a lot of the eye makeup removers that I've used in my time. And it's also not going to sting the eyes. And believe me, I've found so many that sting, and ours doesn't. The other little benefit to ours, if you don't already know this, is it has got a substance in it that will naturally condition the eyelashes. So it will leave your eyelashes nice and conditioned as well. So that's a little extra bonus. It's also, by the way, suitable for contact lens wearers. So I always say to people, if you are wearing eye makeup, make sure you are removing it with a particular, a specialist eye makeup remover product, because they're designed and made in a totally different way. Then you're going to want to cleanse your skin thoroughly with a cleanser or a wash suitable for your skin type. Then you may want to tone. Not everyone likes to tone, but just to be very clear about the purpose, if you like, of a toner. Toner will refresh your skin. It will prepare your skin for receiving moisture. So if you're then going to be applying serums, moisturizers, etc., it helps to prepare your skin for receiving that. But crucially, what a toner will do is it will remove the last remnants of your cleanser. Sometimes when we wash our face with a flannel or just splash our face, we don't always get the last bits of the cleanser off. Now, cleansers are designed to be on and off your skin. They're not a moisturizer. They are not designed to be left on the skin. It is very important that you remove all traces of a cleanser. So a toner will help to do that. And as I say, they will help to kind of keep the hydration levels topped up as well if you're using a good one. So you remove your eye makeup, then you cleanse, then you tone if you wish to tone. About twice a week, I highly recommend everybody should be exfoliating as well. Now, exfoliating, I've been banging on it about exfoliation for years now, since I was working in the salons. Exfoliation is so important, guys. And I often say to people, if you're just going to buy one product from me, for God's sake, buy a good exfoliator. The reason being is it has many different functions. The first one is it removes all the dead skin cells that, as we've already discussed, accumulate at the top of the epidermis. And after a period of time, these dead skin cells starts to build up and build up. And after a period of time, you're going to get that dullness appear on the skin. You want to scrub away that dullness. And believe me, cleansing alone is not going to remove all that. You really need to get all those dead skin cells scraped. I hate that word, but you know what I mean? Kind of scraped away from the skin. And only a good exfoliator is going to remove that properly. An exfoliator will penetrate slightly deeper as well than a normal cleanser. So all like blocked pores, blackheads, things like that, it's going to help ease them up and get rid of them. And a cleanser alone is not going to do that, okay? Some people then say to me when I talk like this to them, they're like, well, I'll just exfoliate every day then. And I'm like, whoa, no, hold your horses. If you exfoliate every day, what you're going to do is potentially make your skin quite sore and desensitized. So you do not want to do that. You only need to be exfoliating. Most people only need to exfoliate about twice a week with a good quality exfoliator. If you've got oily skin, particularly overactive oily skin or acne prone skin, you might want to think about doing it 3 times a week, but certainly no more than that. The other fantastic use for an exfoliator, and one of the reasons it's so important to invest in a good one, and I'm a big fan of our Rose facial polish for any skin type actually, is that what it does is because it's removing the dead skin cells, it is allowing your other products, your serums, your eye creams, your moisturizers, etc., to work more effectively. If those products, serums, etc., have to penetrate through all those layers of dead skin to get to the living skin below, they are having to really work, and you are really wasting your money. You might as well throw your money away, because all you're doing is putting cream on top of all these dead layers, creams and lotions on top of those. and they've got to really, really work hard to actually get to the healthy living skin cells. So once we've removed all that muck, then the lovely serums, moisturizers, etc., that you will invest in and spend your money on will be working a lot more effectively. And I mean a lot more effectively. So it's really important to have a good exfoliator. Once you've done that, once you have cleansed your skin, exfoliated possibly, toned your skin is then ready to receive product, okay? So at this point is where we would put possibly the new hydrating essence, we would put our serums or our facial oils, and then lastly our moisturizers, okay? Eye creams, etc. as well, if the client wants to. Now, just to be very, very clear, I'm sure you all know, but I still do get, sometimes I get questions, the difference between a moisturizer and a serum. And just to be really clear, a serum has a smaller molecular structure than a moisturizer. By that, what I mean is it can penetrate the skin much, much deeper, and it will work at the epidermal layer. So it will work at the layer where the collagen and elastin are being produced, okay? So it will sink much, much lower, okay? It's much more concentrated, and it's got a much, much smaller molecular structure to enable it to do that, okay? Facial oils are very similar. They work at that level in the epidermis. Really, it's personal preference whether you prefer the feel of an oil or the feel of a serum. Some people don't like the feel of an oil on the skin. They want something that feels a bit lighter, maybe. That is personal preference. Some people will use a serum in the daytime, but an oil at night. That is fine. But they basically have a smaller molecular structure and will penetrate much deeper. Moisturizers cannot penetrate very deep at all. They're not designed to penetrate very deep, whatever the beauty houses will tell you. They are designed to effectively sit on top of the skin and have a protective role, and they effectively sit on the dermis level, the epidermis level, the very, very top level of the skin, as we talked about. So moisturizers will literally just sit here at the epidermal level, whereas serums and oils will sink deeper. Okay, I'm talking, this is a very sort of crude way of explaining it, but I hope you're with me. That's why you always put your moisturizer on last, okay, because it sits on top. So a Clarins rep once said to me years ago, she said to me, think of your serum like your underwear, darling. They're your bra and knickers, and your moisturizer is like your t-shirt and jeans. And that kind of stuck in my head, okay? So your serum is your bra and knickers, that goes on first. Your moisturizer is your jeans and t-shirt, okay, guys? I've got to be really honest, for anybody over about 30, 35, you need to be using both because they do completely different jobs. I think sometimes people think that because they've got a fairly expensive, fairly good moisturizer, job done. In your 20s, yeah, you can probably get away with that. After that, girls, sorry, you really do need both because they do completely different jobs. People think that they're similar, but they're actually not. They do very different jobs, like a cleanser and a toner. You've got your serum and your moisturizer. Okay. I hope I'm making sense and I'm not baffling anybody. All right. Lastly, a mask. Some people like to take their skincare regime a little bit further, which is fabulous, especially for someone like me as a therapist. I'm like, yes, that's what I like to hear, somebody really kind of going for it. And a mask used maybe weekly, possibly every other week, or certainly once a month is really going to be a treat for the skin. It's really going to give the skin some food and some nourishment. And of course, there's different facial masks for different skin types. You know, you can have a mask that's incredibly hydrating. Our frankincense firming mask is an incredibly hydrating mask, for example. You might want something that's going to nourish the skin a little more, or you might want something that's clay-based, which is going to help pull out the impurities. That will, of course, depend on your skin type, and it's very, very normal to have different masks in different areas of the skin. So I've got, you know, a couple of clients, for example, that tend to suffer with quite oily T-zones, that way, quite oily T-zones or an oily nose, oily chin. So she will have a clay mask on those areas, and then she'll have something a bit more hydrating and nourishing on the cheeks or on the neck. But again, we can come to masks a little bit later. I would say that you certainly don't need to use a mask any more than once a week. And even if you're only using one, as I say, once, twice a month, it's certainly better than not using one at all. And it's a real treat for the skin. Okay. So once you've got your customer at least thinking about her lifestyle, what she's putting in her body, how she's feeding her skin as an organ from the inside out. And once you've kind of explained to her the importance of a good skincare routine, that she needs to bin her facial wipes, invest in a good cleanser, a good serum and a good moisturizer, then you really need to start, you know, it's all about education, isn't it, at the end of the day, guys? You know, the more educated someone is, you know, the more likely they are to kind of to buy from you. So and then, of course, you need to kind of ascertain her skin type and what products would be suitable for her. So if you all grab your catalogues, and in the meantime, do holler at me if you have any questions so far about what I've actually said. And what we'll do is we're going to, obviously not in massive detail because we're just going to run out of time, but what we'll do is we'll go through the main 8 skincare ranges. We're only, of course, talking about facial skincare tonight. We haven't got time to start going into the body and all the rest of it. But of course, at the end of the day, guys, the skin is skin. You know, you need to look after your skin all over the body. But we are going to concentrate on the face tonight. So if I could ask you, first of all, if I can find it, of course, and you'd think by now I would know the page numbers off by heart, but clearly not. If we start at the frankincense range, we actually, as you know, have 3 frankincense ranges with Neal's Yard Remedies. But if we start with the rejuvenating frankincense on pages 24 and 25, that one there, because this was our main frankincense range. In fact, it was the only frankincense range when I joined Neal's Yard Remedies in 2013. I celebrated my birthday, my 8th birthday last week with Neal's Yard Remedies. I joined on the 4th of February 2013. And when I joined, that was the only range we had in the frankincense. It was an incredibly popular range. In fact, it was the most popular facial skincare range that we had. But actually, since the introduction of Frankincense Intense and Frankincense Intense Lift, it's actually slipped down in popularity because they have taken over. But we're just going to talk a little bit generally about the rejuvenating frankincense. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose. Okay, so our organic and fair wild frankincense is gathered by the women of the Samburu tribe. So the rejuvenating frankincense range, we get our frankincense from Kenya. And the women of the Samburu tribe are the lovely ladies that harvest it for us and pick it for us. And just as a little side note, what they do is they go and they nick with special knives, they nick the frankincense tree. In Kenya, the frankincense only will grow, frankincense trees will only grow in very hot places, very hot, dry places. We generally get our frankincense from 2 main places in the world, Kenya and Oman. The Frankincense Intense and Intense Lift tends to come from Oman, and the rejuvenating frankincense tends to come from Kenya. That's just a very rough kind of guide for you. They go and nick the frankincense trees, and they all go out in groups because it's obviously a lot safer for them to go out in groups, wild animals, etc., etc. And they sing while they do it. They nick the frankincense bark with these special knives. They go away. They come back about 3-4 weeks later, and the resin that has seeped out of the nicks in the tree, they harvest. They go and pick it all off. And take it back, and that resin is frankincense, and it looks a little bit like that. I don't know if you can see that very well. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. It's not the best picture, admittedly, but that's effectively what it looks like. And they actually call it the gold of the desert because it has that sort of gold hue to it, and also because it's worth so much money, so it kind of has a double meaning. It really is the gold of the desert for them. We do pay the Samburu tribe very handsomely for the job that they do for us. Not only are they paid, of course, very well for the job they do, but we also support their communities with various projects. So in the last 8 years, we've built a village hall for them, and we've also put in a freshwater well. They're just 2 of the things that I can think of off the top of my head that we've done for that particular tribe. As you know, we're a lovely, fabulous company in that sense. Frankincense, as you know, has an incredibly sort of historic healing property to it. You know, it was supposedly one of the gifts brought to baby Jesus, and that is because it's supposed to be so sort of healing, so nourishing, so nurturing, and very, very healing, which is actually why the frankincense essential oil is used in a lot of our products, because it just the aroma of the frankincense is really supposed to lower anxiety and stress levels. It is also naturally rejuvenating to the skin, and actually it has an anti-aging effect. Now, as I said at the beginning of this training, I don't like the term anti-aging, and as a company, Neal's Yard Remedies don't use the term anti-aging. But for the purpose of tonight, I will probably say anti-aging a couple of times, because we all know what that means, okay? But it's just for us. So what frankincense will do is it will tone the skin, it will hydrate the skin, and it will help to plump up the fine lines and reduce the appearance of wrinkles. Excuse me. So I think you can see why it is such a popular ingredient for us, and actually probably the most widely used ingredient across our ranges. Frankincense even appears in a lot of our body products, and of course it does appear in Wild Rose Beauty Balm as well. Of our overall sales, and I'm talking worldwide here, not just MYRO in the UK, but across the sales of Neal's Yard Remedies in the shops, through consultants, etc., worldwide, 60% of the sales are on the frankincense ranges. So all the other facial skincare ranges, the body products, the baby products, the supplements, the shampoos, everything else falls into the other 40%. So I think that goes to show you guys how important the frankincense range is to us, and why we invest so heavily in the frankincense range, and why the company will always try and bring out new frankincense products, because frankly, they fly, they sell really, really well. I will come to the new product shortly. So of course, this fantastic rejuvenating frankincense range includes 2 cleansers. It includes a refining cream cleanser, which is the one that I personally use, and it also contains a facial wash. Sometimes I get asked the difference. They both essentially do the same job. They will both wash your face, okay? Really, it's personal preference. Some people, like myself, having naturally dry skin, want something a bit creamier, a bit more nourishing as I'm washing my face. Other people want something that's a bit more sort of, when I say gel-like, it's not like a consistency of gel, it's just a bit lighter, not so creamy, and they just kind of want to wash their face maybe in the shower or something like that. So it's completely sort of personal preference, but we do have the 2. Of course, we also have 2 toners. We have the main toner to wipe over, as well as the facial spritz toner, and they're very similar. The only thing with a facial spritz, we have our white tea, don't we, as well as the frankincense spritz or the mist, is that it can be used, of course, throughout the day. The mists can be sprayed on top of makeup. So if you're sitting at a desk on a hot day, or you've got your central heating on and you want to refresh and rehydrate your skin midday, you're not going to start taking all your makeup off and wiping over a toner with cotton wool, are you? But you might just want to spritz the white tea facial mist or the frankincense facial mist on top, and you can do that. So that is like the slight difference between them. In the range, we have the serum, a facial oil, the mask, the eye and lip cream, as well as 2 moisturizers, the frankincense hydrating cream, which is one of our best sellers, and the frankincense nourishing cream as well, which is very similar to the hydrating cream, but it's just a little bit thicker. So I often say to people who can't really make up their minds, you know, if you want something slightly thicker, slightly more nourishing, go for the nourishing cream. If you want something, it's still a cream, but something slightly lighter, go for the hydrating cream. I have customers that use the hydrating cream in the day and the nourishing cream at night. I have customers that use the hydrating cream in the summer and the nourishing cream in the winter when they want something a little bit heavier. So that just kind of gives you a very, very rough guide, but they are very similar products, and of course they're the same price. We also have a fragrance in that range as well. Now, moving on, in 2013, I'd only been with the company about 6 months. They launched a frankincense intense product, what they call their age defying range. Not anti-aging, but age defying. I'm just going to move this slightly. Now, the main reason why they did that was to rival the anti-aging skincare that is on the market today. So you've got all your, you know, your Clarins, your LMS, your whatever it might be, that are all kind of selling anti-aging premium skincare products. And at the time, we didn't really have anything that could kind of rival that. And we wanted to make an organic, ethical alternative to those kind of premium skincare products that were anti-aging, super duper type products. So essentially, Neal's Yard Remedies launched Frankincense Intense, and that, as I say, was only in 2013, so it's only 8 years old. Well, it will be 8 in August. Now, the first product that they launched was the Frankincense Intense Cream, or FIC as we tend to call it, and that is a clinically proven product. It has been clinically proven to work in independent trials. Now, just to be really clear, because sometimes we bandy around the clinically proven moniker, don't we? But not everyone really understands what that actually means. To have a product clinically proven, it has to go away for trials. Sometimes we use laboratories in Switzerland, other times it's in Italy, various different places. Completely independent. They have to arrive in completely plain packaging. So it can't be, basically the scientists don't know the brand behind it. They are then completely independently put to certain tests. There are various different tests that are done, and then you get your results back. Now, I'm going to be honest, it costs tens of thousands of pounds to have a product clinically proven, which is why not every single product that we sell in the catalogue is clinically proven, because frankly, it would be a bit of a financial, be crazy, really. But certain products that we sell are, the new one is, and Frankincense Intense Cream is. So it's a clinically proven product. And it has been proven to work in completely independent trials, as I've said. Now, without getting too sciencey on you, it basically has a 3-peptide complex. And what that 3-peptide complex does is it supports collagen production, as we've talked about, where the collagen is in the skin, in the dermis. So it will support the collagen production, and it will smooth lines and increase firmness in the epidermis at the top of the skin. Okay, it also enhances the skin's strength and radiance. Now, 100% of women tested in these trials agreed that their skin looked firmer, smoother, and more hydrated. 100% of women. There wasn't a single woman that didn't think it did the job. Okay. Now, actually, although our top 5 selling products kind of go up and down a little bit. So, for example, this year, in the last 12 months, actually, I believe it was the sanitizer, but obviously we're not in normal times. In normal times, Frankincense Intense Cream is our best-selling product. I believe in 2020 it dropped to maybe number 2 or possibly even number 3 because of the pandemic, but generally speaking it will sit at number 1 or number 2. Now, I'm telling you this, guys, because I remember when it first launched and people were like, oh, £50, I don't know that my clients are going to pay that, not sure they're going to pay that. It's now £55, it's gone up £5 in the last 8 years, and believe me, guys, they are buying it. They are buying it, and people, most of the Frankincense Intense and the Frankincense Intense Lift products are in the top 10. So that goes to show that people, they're not worried about the price. If they want good skincare, they will pay for it. Okay, so never worry about promoting these products because of the price. It is our number 1 outside of a pandemic. Okay, now the range is growing, of course, and now, you know, I scroll forward 8 years, we've got the Frankincense Intense Serum, we've got the Frankincense Intense Eye Cream, and of course we've got the gorgeous Cleansing Melt. I'm just going to hold it up there. So we've got this gorgeous range. Now, this is what I call the silver top range. We're going to come on to the gold in a minute. And the way I always describe it to people is, you know, you've got your sort of your bronze, your silver, and your gold. So if you think about the rejuvenating range that I've just talked about, that's your bronze. I would say anyone 35 plus, anybody, I'm generalizing hugely because everybody's different, but as a therapist, I would say anyone, say 35 plus, that's starting to be a little bit concerned with the first signs of aging. They might have noticed 1 or 2 little, you know, lines around their eyes. They're noticing their skin is not doing what it was doing in their 20s. They might want to move on to the Frankincense Rejuvenating range. Okay, the main frankincense range. 40 plus, possibly. you might want to think about moving on to the Silver Top Frankincense Intense range, the range that I'm talking about at the moment. And as I say, that is one of our best selling ranges. We have, of course, just yesterday got a brand new product in the Frankincense Intense range, of course, and I'm talking about the Hydrating Essence. Now, it was, Lisa can correct me on this, but I believe it was only the senior ambassadors that got one. Am I right, Lisa? So Lynn, Elaine, did you get one? No, neither did I, no. So us senior leaders, we didn't get one, but Lynn, Sean and Elaine, who are our 3 senior ambassadors in the company, they got one. Now, I've ordered one, but of course, I only ordered it this morning, so it hasn't arrived. So I genuinely can't talk to you with personal experience on this product. Having done a bit of training, having spoken to Suzanne Colston Lynch, who is the trainer, about this and watched her training videos and knowing a little bit about it, it is going to be a game changer. I can really see this product being fantastic. And actually, I kind of seeing us being a little bit trailblazing with this product as well, because this product is not a serum. And when they first started talking about it last week at the leaders meeting, in my head, I was thinking, oh, is it just a fancy name for a different serum? No, it is not a serum. It basically is a gorgeous product that you put on completely naked skin. So after you have cleansed, possibly exfoliated and toned, you would then put this really lovely Frankincense Intense Hydrating Essence on the skin. And what it does is it gives the skin a real quench, a real thirst quench is the only way I can really describe it. It contains a lot of hyaluronic acid, which, as I've said, is that real hydrator of the skin. The skin produces hyaluronic acid naturally, so it will recognize it. And what it does is it sucks it in and holds it in, okay? The skin loves hyaluronic acid. We use a very good quality plant-based hyaluronic acid in our products. The skin loves it and it will hold it in. It also has some other ingredients in it. Of course, the lovely, nourishing, anti-aging frankincense and pomegranate extract. Pomegranate is very, very well known for being nourishing and good for the skin. There is a link to Suzanne's training, and if you haven't seen it, I'm going to be putting it on my Facebook page tomorrow for you all to watch. She will explain it much better than me. But basically, it goes on to completely naked skin. It then allows the skin to absorb other products much, much better, okay, by keeping the skin cells open and hydrated. So any serum or moisturizer you put on top will be able to penetrate much deeper and work much more effectively after the essence has been on. So it's a really lovely extra step, if you like. Now, this whole extra step idea has come from Korea. In parts of Asia, that they have lots and lots of steps to their skincare routine. And let's be honest, you know, I used to live in Japan. I lived in Japan for years, many, many years. I've also spent time in Hong Kong and various different places around the world. And I can tell you that the Oriental ladies have the most incredible skin. And it is becoming more and more popular over here, the idea of Korean beauty, or K-beauty as it's sometimes called, and adding extra steps into the skincare. So I do think that we really are kind of trailblazers with this product in the UK at the moment, which is really exciting. However, if you have clients, customers that either can't afford another step or just don't really want to have all these steps on their skin, that's fine. What I would suggest is, particularly possibly in the day, that they use this hydrating essence instead of a serum and then put their moisturizer on top, so that they're going to get extra benefits from their moisturizer, but they've got all the lovely hydrating benefits of this essence as well. Now, once I've got my hands on the essence and I've done a little bit more training about it and sort of used it and experienced it myself as a therapist, I will do some more training on that for you. In the meantime, guys, I'd highly recommend that you either order it for yourself if you can afford to. It's £31.50 with our consultant discount, but I'd highly recommend you buy a pack of samples in. It's £3.50 for a pack of 20 samples. You can use 1 or 2 yourself and then get the rest out to your customers. Your customers are not going to be investing £42 on a product that they haven't experienced, particularly a product that you're saying is a new extra step. Okay, they might be a little bit cynical, so buy in some samples at £3.50. So I just wanted to touch on that product because, of course, it'd be crazy not to, especially at the moment when people are indoors all the time, central heating on, etc., etc. Skin is incredibly dehydrated, and it's really, really important that we not only nourish it from the outside, but of course we nourish it from, sorry, the inside, but we nourish it from the outside as well. And I just think this new product will sit perfectly doing that. Okay, moving on, because otherwise we're going to be here forever. I just want to talk now about the Frankincense Intense Lift range, which is our lovely gold top range, our what I call our super duper, all singing, all dancing, fantastic range, basically. Now, this is very similar to the Frankincense Intense range in many ways. It has a lot of the age well anti-aging properties to it, but it also has an active phyto complex. I'm looking down because I just want to make sure I'm saying these words right. So it has this active phyto complex in it, and basically that helps protect against environmental factors as well. We've already talked about oxidative stress, free radicals in the atmosphere, etc., etc., and that will accelerate skin aging, as I've said. Okay. It also smells incredible, but of course what the lift does is, as the name would suggest, it helps to lift the skin. It has a really lovely sort of lifting technology to it. They're my words, of course, not particularly technical, and it will literally help to kind of lift the areas of the skin that we might be slightly concerned about. So we've got, you know, the round here, the jaw, where the skin can sag a little bit, around the neck area, and of course around the eye area. And the frankincense range with this active phyto complex will help to sort of lift the skin. Again, many of the products are clinically proven, and I'm now reading from the catalogue. Of course, you can read this for yourself. 90% of women agree that the skin on the back of their hands felt smoother. That, of course, was when they tested the Frankincense Intense Hand Serum. Now, that is also a clinically proven product. 75% of women agree that their jawline feels firmer and cheeks are more taut, and 71% of women agree that their eye area is visibly lifted. Okay, and they were all in independent consumer trials. So that is just kind of a little way of sort of understanding the three, excuse me, I'm just getting more comfortable again, understanding the three main ranges. Okay, so I always think of it as bronze, silver and gold, and the colours of the lids will help you there. Okay. Right, just moving on slightly, just to talk briefly about some of our other ranges, because of course we do have other skincare ranges. You know, not everybody is suited to frankincense. They might, you know, they might just have personal preference and not actually like it, or they might not be old enough for it, whatever it might be. So if we now talk about the orange flower range, which is on pages 26 and 27. Now, for many years, this was the range I used. As I said, I've got dry skin, and the orange flower range is the skin that really we kind of think of when people have drier skin. So as I've said, when somebody has dry skin, it means that the skin is lacking in oil, okay? Lacking in oil and lacking in water are two completely different things. If your skin is lacking in water, it is dehydrated. If it is lacking in oil, it is dry. You can have oily skin that is also dehydrated. So you can have skin that has got excess oil, but not enough water. That is very, very common problem, okay? Someone like myself, sadly, I'm kind of both. You know, my skin is often dehydrated, but it's also naturally dry. It's not producing enough sebum and it's not producing enough oil, okay? So if you have got a customer that sort of falls into that category, you might want to start her on the orange flower range. And the orange flower range is a very, very nurturing, nourishing range that will really help to kind of feed the skin and make the skin feel a lot more comfortable. It really does help to sort of restore the skin's natural balance as well, and it leaves it feeling a lot softer than other ranges do, which is nice when you've got dry skin like I have. Dry skin can often feel quite tight and uncomfortable, so it's nice to kind of have it feeling more comfortable and more soft. Now we pick, me personally, but we get our orange blossom neroli, which is orange blossom. We get it in Morocco, and it is distilled on a farm in Morocco. We've used the same farm for many, many years, and it's picked and then distilled within 24 hours of being harvested, and that is to lock in its freshness, basically. So it's literally picked, harvested and distilled within 24 hours. which ensures, as I say, it ensures the freshness of the quality and of course the fragrance, because it just smells so incredible. But to lock in that fragrance, you do need to act quite quickly. We also have apricot in that range. Pomegranate, as I've said, pomegranate is a big ingredient for us because it is so nourishing. For the skin, and we have other organic plant extracts which really do help with sort of premature aging as well. As you can see in the range, we've got a really lovely facial wash, we've got the toner, we've got a daily moisturizer as well as some other moisturizers, and then of course you've got my favorite product, which is the orange flower sorry, I'm just plugging in my charger. We've got the orange flower facial oil. And even though now I tend to use the rejuvenating frankincense range, and sometimes now even the frankincense intense range, as a facial oil, I will always go to the orange flower facial oil because it smells incredible. And I use it a lot in facials as well, not at the moment, of course, but I use it a lot in facials when I am working, because I've yet to meet a customer that didn't like it. And I sell quite a lot based on that, because people are like, oh, that smells so good. What's that you've just put on my skin? And it's the orange flower. You know, people love it. So that's the range for dry skin. And then moving on, just flipping over the page 28 and 29, we've got our Rehydrating Rose collection. Now, after the frankincense ranges, the Rehydrating Rose collection is our best-selling range. So sort of our second best-selling range, if you like, after the 3 frankincense ones. Deeply hydrating, deeply hydrating. I hate the word normal, because you know what's normal, but it's very good for skin that, as I've said before, isn't particularly oily, isn't particularly dry. It might be for somebody in their 20s or early 30s that isn't particularly concerned with the signs of aging yet, but it's very hydrating, really helps to kind of restore balance within the skin, thoroughly cleanse the skin without stripping, and it's just sort of nice on the skin, feels nice on the skin, I should say. Now we get our organic, we've got 2 different roses that we use in the range. We use 100 petal roses and also damask roses, and we get them from Turkey, Iran and Lebanon. I'm just reading there because I knew Turkey and Iran, but Lebanon as well apparently, and they're handpicked by our growers in the early morning before the flowers actually open, because of course when the roses open they let off their scent, don't they? They kind of release their smell, so they are handpicked in the early morning while the roses are still closed. So because we want the smell, we want that fragrance within them to make our products smell lovely. They're then kept cool throughout the day, and they're distilled on the same day, just like our orange flower is distilled on the same day. And again, that is just to keep the freshness guaranteed. Okay, they're then blended with other organic plant extracts, etc., to keep sort of the skin hydrated, moisture levels good, etc. The range, as you can see for yourself there, it includes the facial wash, it includes several moisturizers, we've got a lovely mask, we've got a facial oil in that range as well, and a fragrance. We've got the eye cream, but my personal favorite in this range will always be the facial polish. As I've said earlier, I'm a big fan of exfoliation generally, and this is just such a lovely generic facial polish. It works really well throughout the frankincense ranges as well as the orange range. It's not too gritty, it's not too harsh, it won't scratch the skin. It's just a really nice all-rounder, and it's the one that I will always use in facials personally. Okay, so again, moving on, turning the page again, page 30 and 31, we've got our Palmarosa range. Now, our Palmarosa range probably isn't one of our best-selling ranges, but simply because there are more people out there that suffer with, you know, drier skin, dehydrated skin, or worried about the signs of aging than oily skin. Oily skin isn't such a problem, but our Palmarosa range fits in where it is, because of course there are people that do suffer. And the Palmarosa actually comes from a grass in Madagascar, and it has a really lovely sort of smell to it. It's very fresh, the Palmarosa range. What it does is it kind of creates a clearer, more mattified complexion. It's very purifying, and it helps to balance the oil production in the skin. So it just helps to calm the skin down a little bit and help that overactive skin producing too much sebum, too much oil, just helps to calm it down a little bit and helps to manage the problem. Now, obviously, you can never, I've got very low battery, guys, so I hope I'm not going to suddenly cut out. If I do, bear with me, I'll come back on a different device, okay, if I suddenly cut out. I'm working on a very old iPad and it's not brilliant. But yeah, so the Palma Rosa really helps to control the oil production and control the shine without stripping the skin, because of course stripping the skin is never a good idea using these very harsh products that some of the other beauty houses out there do, because all that's going to do is make the skin panic. If you remove oil from the skin and strip it, essentially what all the skin will do is go into panic mode and it will produce more oil. You then strip that, it produces more oil, and you get into this really vicious circle with your skincare routine. So that's why the likes of things like, I hate to say another product, but things like Clearasil and things like that are actually detrimental to the skin, because they are stripping and they make the skin panic. So what you need is your good quality range that's actually going to help working with your skin to help calm it down and to help balance the oil production without stripping it. And that is essentially what the Palma Rosa range will do. It's very refreshing and it's very decongesting as well. So if you do suffer with spots and blocked pores, etc.
Hi everyone. While Cressy is finding her another computer, she wanted me to mention that tomorrow I've got a radio show. I might as well mention it now while we've got a little gap, if that's okay. And Suzanne Colston Lynch is coming on tomorrow onto the show. And she's talking about the new Essence product as well as some other bits and pieces. So I'll type it in the comments, and yeah, I hope you might join. That's Friday at 1 o'clock or Sunday at 6. And then if any of you have a well-being type business and feel that you want to come on the show, it's on Crew Radio, then you know, do feel free to contact me, Michelle Pound. So I'll just put the link in the bottom here. But if you haven't met Suzanne Colston Lynch, she's really uplifting and positive. So okay, I think Chris is back.
I am. Thank you, Michelle. Well done for filling. I was going to ask you to speak at the end, wasn't I? But I appreciate you doing that. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Right, I'm on my my phone now. I'm really sorry about that. The problem is I've got this really old iPad, which my daughter uses for homeschooling during the day. Like I said, my son's on my laptop. So of course, by the time I actually get to it in the evening, I've only got about 50%, 40% battery, and it's just completely run down. So I'm so sorry. Anyway, I think I'd pretty much finished the Palma Rosa range. The only thing I was going to say about it was that obviously we've got, you know, we've got an exfoliator in that range as well, which is slightly more gritty than the Rose one, because sometimes people with oilier, more congested skin want that. Of course, we've got the wash, of course. We've got the Mahonia skin gel as well for targeted blemish control. So if you do suffer with the odd pimple or the odd spot, Mahonia skin gel is very good used topically on those spots, just to help kind of calm it down and kill the spot, as it were. And the mattifying lotion, I've lost my page now, where are we? The Purifying Palma Rosa Mattifier is very, very good used under moisturizer or even under makeup. And actually, I do quite a bit of makeup as well, normally out of pandemic times. And when I'm doing bridal makeup in particular, if I've got a bride that tends to suffer with a shine on her forehead or on her nose, I will use the mattifier almost like as a pre-makeup sort of, you know, base. And it really does help to kind of keep the skin matte throughout the day, and it has won awards actually for that, sort of being a skin mattifier. So it just gives that sort of nice smooth complexion appearance. So there are a couple of gems in that range as well. Now, I just want to quickly touch on our two ranges for sensitive skins as well. I realise I've been on now for quite a long time. I knew tonight's workshop would be a biggie, but I have been talking for an hour and a half, and you know, you guys obviously have got other things to do. So I'm just going to quickly touch on these two ranges, and then I'll do any Q&A before we sign off. Okay, so we have two really lovely ranges for sensitive skin. Okay, hope you can see those there. So I'm now looking at page 22 and 23. So we have our sensitive soothing range, and the sensitive soothing range is I hate to use the word basic, but you know, what I would use to kind of start somebody off. So if they were, you know, sensitive, they maybe weren't getting on very well with, say, the rose range or whatever it might be, that you know, they have very sort of pink cheeks, and they sort of reacted to a lot of products, they might have a lot of allergies. I would probably start them on this range to see how they got on. We've got a lovely sensitive soothing cleansing milk, when we've got the lovely serum, which is incredibly soothing, very calming. It has borage oil in it, which is excellent for sensitive skin, very comforting, very soothing, very calming. And then of course we have the moisturizer as well to go on top of that. It is just a 3-item range, and as I say, it's very, very good for cooling down reactive skin, and for sort of conditioning angry skin. I think you all know what I mean, but it's a really nice range, and you can kind of cherry pick from the other ranges as well. So if someone wasn't too sensitive and they wanted you know, to exfoliate maybe once a week, then I would encourage them to try the rose facial polish. Possibly they could mix that in with their sensitive soothing cleanser, sorry, their sensitive soothing cleanser, to dilute the grains slightly so it wasn't quite so harsh on their sensitive skin. Or of course you can use the Wild Rose Beauty Balm as an exfoliator with the muslin cloth it comes with. That would be a very gentle exfoliator as well for someone with sensitive skin. Moving across the page, we've got our sensitive collection, and this is probably a step up, if you like. So it's for people with sensitive skin, but it's for people with sensitive skin that are still concerned possibly with the first signs of aging. They are concerned about wrinkles, etc. You know, you can have ladies in their 40s and 50s who have got sensitive skin, but they are still concerned, like many ladies of that age, with signs of aging. So this is ideal for them because it really does help to plump fine lines and wrinkles and help fight those issues, as well as being fragrance free, alcohol free, and everything you would expect in a certified range for sensitive skin. So again, you've got the cleanser there, which is very, very hydrating, very light. It's very, very light liquid, as it says here, actually as light as water. It's very, very light, really lovely cleanser there. And then you've got the smoothing serum, which is gorgeous, and that is the one that will help with fine lines and wrinkles. And then of course your moisturizer as well. As you can see in the prices there, compared to the prices on the sensitive soothing range, they are considerably higher, and that is because they have the anti-aging technology. So it's a bit of a double whammy. As I've said, you've got the sensitive aspect to it, but you've also got the anti-aging aspect to it. I think sometimes people get a bit confused between those two ranges, which is why I wanted to touch on them tonight. Now, I won't go too much into the men's range because that is a whole other sort of training section, but obviously we do have a range for men as well, which is brilliant actually, and it really has been sort of modernized over the last 8 years, repackaged, and the moisturizer is now an anti-aging or aging well moisturizer for guys as well, because you know, in this day and age, men are a lot more concerned about their appearance, of course, and want to age well, just like us girls do. And as I said before, men's skin is very, very different to a woman's skin. So it does need to be looked after with completely different products. It is so frustrating when I hear about men pinching their wife or girlfriend's products, because actually then no one's benefiting. She's not benefiting from her full product because he's pinching half of it, and actually his skin is not really getting what it needs. So really, men do need to be using their own facial wash that's been designed for their skin, which is thicker, coarser, obviously has the facial hair aspects. Men's skin tends to have a little bit more sebum. The sebaceous glands tend to be a bit more active on men's skin as well, and they need to be using their own moisturizers, etc. So if you do hear of any guys pinching their wife, girlfriend's products, just explain that, you know, everyone's a loser in that situation, and guys really do need to be using their own products for their benefit. Right, I have been talking now for a very long time. I do apologise. The Love Your Skin workshop is always a big one because we've got a lot to cover. The skin itself, talking about the, you know, the structure of the skin itself, talking about, you know, how to get your clients looking after their skin, talking about the inside out approach, products to use on the inside, and of course products to use on the outside. So there's a lot to cover, and normally when I do this workshop face to face, it's about a 3-hour workshop, so I've tried to condense it into about an hour and a half. For those of you that are still with me, thank you for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. I've been talking solidly at you now for a long time, so thank you. I appreciate it's gone 10 o'clock. If anybody would like to whiz off, please feel free to go. If anybody would like to stick around and ask me any questions, I will happily stay online for another 5-10 minutes and answer any questions that might come up. As you know, Michelle's got her lovely radio show, which is going out tomorrow and then again on Sunday. That's right, isn't it, Michelle? It is. Yeah, tomorrow and then again on Sunday. I know she said that, and this week will feature Suzanne Colston Lynch, who, as she said, is the head trainer of Neal's Yard Remedies. So it's a real one to watch. Suzanne's amazing, she really is. Not watch, listen. You can tell it's late, can't you? You can tell it's late, and I've been homeschooling today. You're not watching the radio, you're listening to the radio. Right. Okay, I'll have a quick whiz through the chat. I know Lisa's been keeping an eye on it, but I'll have a quick whiz through now. But if anyone's got anything to say, please shout at me, and I will do my best to answer any questions. Catherine has asked any tips for dark circles. Yes, of course, apart from drinking water, etc. White tea eye gel is actually very good for dark circles. The eye gels are very good for dark circles and lines, and eye creams are better for things like wrinkles and that sort of stuff. You know, if you're concerned with wrinkles, aging and sagging, you're going to want a cream. If you're concerned with either dark circles, puffiness, then you're going to want a gel. So I'd highly recommend the white tea eye gel, and actually if it's kept in the fridge and it goes on nice and cold, that can be sort of extra beneficial. Someone's doing a frankincense session on Monday. Oh, great. Want to introduce a client to the frankincense firming mask. The frankincense firming mask needs to go, all masks must go on naked skin. Okay, Julie, so you would obviously cleanse the skin thoroughly, remove makeup, cleanse, then you do an exfoliation, maybe tone, refresh the skin, pat it dry, then you put your mask on. Leave the mask on for however long, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is you're doing, hand massage or whatever at the time. I appreciate we can't be doing real facials at the moment. And then you remove it before you start putting on your serums and your moisturizers. That's how I was taught. I do know some therapists that will put a serum on and then a mask. I've never really understood that, I've got to be honest, because when you're using a mask, you want it to do its absolute best job, and you want it to be on completely naked skin so it can really do its work, its job. And if you've got a serum in the way, I can't really see how it can do that. So I prefer to use the mask for the full time, like I say, anything between 5 and 20 minutes, depending on the mask and what you want it to do. Then you remove it and then you put your serum on, and then of course finish with eye creams and moisturizers, etc. So I hope that helps. Right, yeah. Okay, right. Unless there is anything anybody else would like to sort of say, I will sign off. But thank you so much for staying with me, and I know it's been a mega one tonight. It's been a real big one. So guys, the fact that a lot of you are still here means a lot. So well done. I hope you've learned something. I hope it hasn't frazzled your mind too much and that you've made a few notes and you feel a bit more confident about a few things. I'd love to hear feedback actually on what you think of the new product. So as and when you use the new product, whenever that will be, whether it's just from a sample or whether you treat yourself to a bottle, let me know, because it'd be really interesting, wouldn't it, to get like a bank together of you know, what we all think about it. I can't wait to use mine. Can't wait. Right, I will say, oh, Natalie's saying it's lovely. Ah, you've got one already, Natalie. Did you order it yesterday then? You must have ordered it yesterday and it arrived by express. Yeah, I'm assuming so. Wow, amazing. Right, guys, I've really kept you long enough. Thank you so much for being so amazing tonight. Oh, somebody else is asking me something on the chat. Oh, our little person's asleep next to me, can't talk. That's absolutely fine. I get that. It'd be great if you did a full day course. Do you know what? I'd never really thought of that. But yes, I can do longer courses, because I suppose if people know that it's longer and that I'm going to be talking for longer, then they can set aside the time. I don't mind doing that. We can certainly look into doing that. Yeah, going forward, why not? Yeah, I could do like a 3 or a 4 hour course with a break in the middle or something, couldn't I? That'd be good. Good idea. Cool. I will let you go, guys, but thank you for being so amazing tonight. Mwah. And yeah, see you soon. Have a good rest of February and happy Valentine's and happy Galentine's and all that. Take care. Bye.